What's going on, everybody? I know it's been a while since I have done some long form videos like this on YouTube because of the college basketball season ending, but it has been NBA draft season. We've been doing a lot of content all over other platforms, short form and Twitter and stuff. I wanted to do one long form video on my final big board going into the draft, which is under a week away from right now. So I'm going to give you all my top 60 plus prospects ranked as if I was a GM, right? This is not a mock draft. I'm not going with consensus. This is based on my personal opinion and scouting opinions from not just this year, but the last 2 or 3 years of a lot of these guys in college and internationally. Now, obviously in the draft, some teams want young guys, some teams want instant impact, some teams want guards and wings and athleticism and whatever different needs and wants. So take the rankings with a grain of salt because I would still shake up my exact rankings depending on what team is drafting where, but nonetheless, let's get into it. Number 1 is Cooper Flagg. That's a consensus one. I wouldn't call him generational for sure, but he's one of the best, if not the best college prospects since Zion in 2019 or Ben Simmons before that, or even back to Anthony Davis in 2012. I don't think people understand and appreciate how complete and mature of a player he is, right? He's not even 19 years old. He's going to be 18.6 on draft night. He should be graduating high school and going to senior prom, not getting ready to be the number 1 pick in the NBA draft right now. And he's so mature on and off the court beyond his age. I think people don't remember that. I also think people don't realize how complete he is of a player, right? He is so good two-way and on the ball, off the ball. He's developed his three-point shot a lot, and he led an elite Duke team in basically every single stat as an 18-year-old. And this Duke team, no, they didn't win a national title, but analytically and metric-wise, they're one of the best teams in college basketball history. So I don't think people appreciate Cooper Flagg enough. Easily my number 1. I see a lot of Kawhi Leonard in him. He's going to have a great career. Number 2, also consensus, Dylan Harper. I like his Cade Cunningham comp a lot. Some people say he's lazy, but I think you shouldn't overthink it. This is a guy who's a big guard who can get to his spots. He's patient. He plays great in a pick and roll. He's a great downhill driver. He has like generationally good rim pressure, especially for guards. He's really good at finishing. His mid-range is smooth. He can shoot it from 3. I think he needs to work a little bit on his ISO perimeter creation, but I think against NBA athletes and over time as he develops and polishes that up, that will come along just fine. Number 3, I got Trey Johnson. Honestly, this is the best scorer and shooter in the draft, and he's one of the best scoring prospects I have ever personally seen or evaluated in the 4 or 5 years that I have been doing this. He gets to his spots all over. His jumpers, his mechanics are insanely smooth. He can shoot off balance. He shoots on the move. The movement shooting is why I think he's a better shooter than Kon Knueppel and a better shooter than a lot of the pure just shooters like Kobe Bryant also in this draft. And I think Trey Johnson gets overlooked a little bit because people think defensively, rim pressure, and playmaking are the 3 concerns. But playmaking, if you think he's not a good playmaker, you simply didn't watch him enough at Texas, in my opinion. Rim pressure, he actually is not terrible attacking the rim. He didn't convert at like an elite percentage, but he gets his shots elsewhere. He got his shots on jumpers, so he didn't really need to attack the rim that much. And he's 6'6" with a 6'10" wingspan, so I think the rim pressure and defensive concerns can be worked on for sure. Number 4, I got Derek Queen. I understand this is going to be a polarizing one. Derek's one of my guys. Obviously, I'm a Maryland guy, but I really think this is an unbiased take, and I just wouldn't pass up on the very unique ability he has on the ball and on the move, putting the ball down as a big 5 man, right? Like, he's strong, he's powerful, he can rebound like crazy. He has like these magnetic hands off the glass and off the rim when the ball kind of comes to him. He just finds a way to find it and play right out of that. His playmaking is great. He puts the ball down and dribbles at guys, at guards, at bigs, and gets them moving. His footwork on the perimeter and in the post is great. No, the jump shot isn't perfect, but he has a very comfortable free throw and mid-range game. The mechanics aren't awful. He has shown flashes of the ability to shoot a 3-ball, so this is an example of a guy that I would buy into the mechanics, and hopefully the development process with the right team and right system gets him to have a league average 3-ball, and that would really unleash his ceiling because I think he's too unique and too talented to pass up on. Number 5, I got VJ Edgecombe. This is a guy that I've loved ever since I started watching him last year with the Bahamas national team. Like, you hear him off the court and you watch him on the court. He is super mature beyond his age, what a normal young freshman is doing. I think He had some struggles playing at Baylor as the team did, but he got better as the year went on. He's super aggressive, super athletic. It's very easy to see him having a high floor in the NBA because of the intangible and physical tools. I think you got to work a little bit on some shooting things and shooting mechanics, and especially on the move, but you buy into a lot of those tools. Hopefully you can kind of get a Victor Oladipo kind of outcome. I know he watches a lot of Anthony Edwards, and I do see some similarities. I don't think he's going to be Anthony Edwards, but I see the similarities. Number 6, I got Ace Bailey. This is the most polarizing prospect in the class. I'm trying to put aside the saga of the draft stock falling so late in the process and just looking at him as a prospect, right? If I was a GM, who I know him as a player, regardless of all the workout stuff, there's ridiculous ability and upside, the shot making ability at his physical profile with that length. It is very special. And the problem really is how raw he is, right? Like, it's special. He's very talented, but the playmaking, the defensive focus, the general game IQ on both ends of the floor, the handle for him to be an on-ball player and get to that star level that he wants to be are all major concerns. Now, I think getting him into the right team, the right development system is what's needed for him, honestly, more than any other prospect, because teams are going to have to be patient with him. He's going to have to be patient, but they're going to have to work on his handle and get him the ball early on in the league, I think, to try to get him to work out those kinks. I considered having him at number 3 and 4. I considered moving him down to 9 or 10. It's very tough because team fit is going to be huge for him, but he's a guy that I would take the long upside swing in some capacity with in the top 10. Number 7, I got Kon Knueppel, maybe one of the highest floors in this class besides Cooper Flagg, and maybe that's a testament to Jon Scheyer and Duke, but Kon is just super mature. Everything he does on the floor plays like a 23 and 24-year-old pro. He's super, super smart. He can play make. He's got good size. He defends well. He's an unbelievable shooter, like ungodly shooter. My number 2 or 3 shooter in the class with Trey Johnson and Kobe Brea. He's an underrated playmaker, I think. He just does everything so intelligently. He plays off 2 feet when he gets into the lane. He makes a lot of good decisions. So Kon Knueppel, easily a top 10 prospect, super safe bet. Number 8 is another Duke guy, Kamon Malawach, 7'2", crazy wingspan. Only started playing basketball a few years ago. It's just so easy to see him being a long-term anchor 5 for literally any team in the NBA, like we've seen with guys like Rudy Gobert, right? He's super, super big. He has that decoy upside. He's super, super intelligent and using his intuition with where he's bringing his hands to. I don't think he's had much foul trouble throughout the year, and kind of timing at the rim. He knows he doesn't need to jump that much because he's so big. I think offensively, are you going to get more than a rim runner and a dunker spot guy and a lot of offensive glass work? He's smart enough, I think, to where you can work on those things. It won't be super simple, but another guy, Duke, high floor, kind of high ceiling, decoy upside, I'd say is a high ceiling. So number 9 is another reclass guy, Jeremiah Fears, who should be in high school, like we talked about Cooper Flagg. This is a guy that I think plays a lot like Derrick Rose, who he looked up to, being from Chicago and having D Rose MVP year B when he was super young. But I don't know if he's going to be Derrick Rose per se. Obviously, I see a lot of Monte Ellis in his game also. Just the way he attacks the rim. He's not an elite outside shooter, but he's shown the ability and the confidence and the willingness to take those outside shots. He's really, really smooth on the ball. He's strong. He can elevate. He can attack the rim. He's aggressive. It's a lot of that intelligence and intangibles in his brain and kind of attitude of which he attacks the rim and attacks bigger opponents that I really, really like. I think he's going to need a little more fine-tuning, we'll say, and polish and long-term patience. So teams like the Nets make a lot of sense at 8. Even the Wizards at 6. A lot of teams who are looking for guard play there. Number 10, I got Thomas Sorber out of Georgetown. Now, I think I'm one of the highest people I know on him. I think because of his injury that he had, missing a lot of the latter of the year in the draft process is why people aren't talking about him a lot and really haven't been this draft cycle, because he hasn't been able to show it on the draft stage. But a guy who is 6'10", he's got like a 7'5", like 7'6" wingspan or something like that. Crazy long arms. He's really, really mobile. He's a great defender. I think you got to work a little bit on timing and decision making and stuff like that. But he's young, and he's young and a little bit immature on the court, and those are things that you can easily fix with due time and due experience. I think he resembles a lot of guys like Onyeka Okongwu. I think he's almost a carbon copy of him with an upside of becoming a Bam Adebayo because he is a good passer and playmaker, and he has the ability to hit mid-ranges and put the ball down a little bit and be an all-league defender. I think that's a lot of upside and potential that I would buy in the top 10 in the lottery. Number 11, we're finally getting into some of the older prospects. Nique Clifford is my first guy. I'm one where I care about age to an extent, but I'm not going to overlook someone because of age, and Nique Clifford does every single thing in the game of basketball good. Literally every single thing, and he's developed it so well over the years. The only concern for him is the outside shooting. He shot the ball super well from 3 this year, but the first few years in college, he didn't shoot it as well. Now, you can say that's a testament to his development, which the numbers will show that, but is it going to stick? Is the 1 year of positive shooting from the perimeter going to stick? And it's really going to unleash his ceiling, because Josh Hart's a great NBA player, and that's honestly his best comp for me at least. But Josh Hart his inconsistent three-point shooting has kind of been what has kept him on and off the court at times for the Knicks and over his young NBA career so far. If Nick Clifford can shoot the three ball, he can reach new heights beyond that. He can reach guys like Mikal Bridges. I don't know if he's going to be a Jalen Williams, but he resembles him very similarly in terms of physical profile and college production. I love Nick Clifford. He's one of my guys. I have him at number 11 here, so I'm very confident that he's going to be a great NBA player. Another older guy that I think people are just overlooking for no reason is Walter Clayton. Like, this guy is a demon level shot maker, and his game goes way beyond that. I don't need to explain how good of an outside shooter he is and getting to his spots, movement shooter, off balance, off the dribble, whatever, because people saw that in March Madness in the NCAA tournament when he led the Gators to win a national championship. But he's a very good playmaker. He can play part-time one guard. He's a very underrated athlete. He's got a great understanding of the game, and he still continues to be underrated. People are talking about him outside the top 20 into the late first, early second round, when I think teams should consider him in the late lottery. I think he's that good. Look at guys like Peyton Pritchard. I think he resembles Jamal Murray a lot also, but he's a guy that I think right away can come off the bench, be a 6 or 7 man like Peyton Pritchard is now, and be that offensive spark, play part-time one guard when guys are hurt or you need to in second units. And he's a good defender too. He measures at like 6'2", 6'3", so he's not super small. He's strong. He's got intangibles and intuition, so this is a guy that people are just overthinking. 13, I got Rasheer Fleming out of St. Joe's. I understand why people don't like fall in love with Rasheer Fleming, but I look at him and what he's done and his physical profile. He resembles what the modern NBA is and what so many wings like OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges are making hundreds of millions of dollars of a living off of, right? Like, he's 6'9", 7 whatever wingspan, 7'5" wingspan. He shot 39% from three. He rebounded the hell out of the ball. He's a very good defender. He's strong. He can put the ball down. He doesn't need to be this superstar in the NBA, but he is going to be so good right away because he's an elite 3-and-D wing. I don't need to explain much more on him. I understand he played at St. Joe's in the A-10, but he's done it versus power teams. You watch him in his pro day. You watch him in combine drills. You watch him in exercises. I'm sure teams are getting him in for private workouts against other fellow prospects of similar style and similar physical archetypes, and he's probably outperforming them because he is built for the modern NBA. 14, I got Yegor Demon. Now, Yegor's a guy who I loved before the year. I still love. I just think it's hard to figure out, honestly. That's how I explain it, because he's a really good playmaker. He's 6'9". He's got really long arms. He is smart. He played for Real Madrid. He played some pro ball internationally and played for BYU in a pro system. So, I like all those things about him. His shooting doesn't project super well. He doesn't project great as an ISO defender and agility-wise side to side. Those things can be worked on for sure and would unleash his ceiling. That's how Franz Wagner became Franz Wagner, one of these Swiss Army utility wings or whatever you want to call him, or versatility. But is he going to be an Anthony Black on the lower end of the spectrum, who is a better defender than him, but maybe not as good of a playmaker? Or can he be Josh Giddey? I think is probably the best comp for him, what makes the most sense. I like Yegor. I think it needs the right development system also and the right role to get the best out of him and him to not be a negative. Number 15, I got a draft darling of many, Carter Bryant. Now, I like Carter. I have mixed feelings of where I want to go with him because I don't know what the ceiling is, right? Like, how good can he be? He had limited production at Arizona, but he is another guy who's a 3-and-D forward, similar to what I mentioned about Rasheer Fleming, where he's a great defender, he's a great athlete, he's a good off-ball player, good cutter. He's shown an ability to shoot well this year. He has good mechanics. So there's a lot to like for him to be better in the NBA than he was in college, but we didn't see it at a lot of production. And some people are trying to say, hey, he could be a star if you give him more role and more opportunity, which sure, to some level, but to what level beyond that is that going to be a little extreme and a little overzealous? Number 16, I got Noah Esenge out of Ratio Farm, a French prospect, a utility wing. This is the guy that I considered in my lottery towards my top 10, and I think he has that upside with his ability to put the ball down and be more than just kind of one of those off-ball connector forwards. He is a good connector. He's a good playmaker. He can kind of move the ball around. I see a lot of Jeremy Sohan in his game, at least what I saw in Jeremy Sohan at Baylor. Jeremy's still a decent NBA player right now, but the shooting and some things really haven't taken a turn for the better, where that's part of Noah's projection upside, right? What's going to help him is the shooting and the ability to create that, because that could get him to be a Pascal Siakam instead of a Jeremy Sohan in the NBA right now. I like Noah Esenge. Him still playing later in the draft process out in Europe is definitely helping his draft stock consensus-wise, but he's a guy I've had top 20 all year, and he's kind of fluctuated all around that. I think teams like the Hawks that need a little bit of versatility and defense like that would make a lot of sense. Number 17, I got Kasparas Jakučionis. Now, this is the guy that college basketball Twitter kind of went crazy about and very polarizing throughout the year. He struggled versus a lot of elite opponents, and he was very hot and cold throughout the year, but he's a bigger guard, 6'5", 6'6", has the Euro style to his game. I think you look at guys like Malcolm Brogdon, Brandon Pajemski that have bigger size, but not like massive bigger size advantages as guards, but they can use it versus smaller defenders. Good playmaker. He can defend. He can create and score all over the place. You just got to worry about things like, can he do it versus NBA level opponents? Are the turnovers going to be an issue, and the handle and ISO creation and stuff like that? And that's kind of what's going to be unleashing his stealing, where Pajemski's become more of a scorer. KJ is also a good playmaker, so you see more on the Brogdon side, but I think he's gonna have a good NBA career. I don't think he's gonna flop or have like this low floor or anything. Number 18 is one of my favorite prospects in the draft, Maxime Reynaud, that is definitely underrated. This is a guy, he's like 22 from Stanford, so he was playing in the ACC and not for a good ACC team, but he is built for the NBA. He's a legit 7'1". I think he measured above 7 foot without shoes, which is like a massive, massive player if you can't realize that. He's lengthy, he's mobile, he does everything offensively. He can shoot, he can play make, and I think playing at Stanford for his years there that he has helped him become that on-ball threat. He can put the ball down, he can create, he can score all over. He's not a terrible defender, but that is what is going to get him to like the Brook Lopez type of player that he can be, where he can be a hundreds of millions of dollar making starting center and one of the best centers in the league. Now, I think offensively, he's very, very ready for the NBA, and I think people are going to be seeing that early on if he falls to a team like maybe Indiana lost their first round pick, but Indiana, Boston, those kind of teams that can use him right away rotationally. And I think long term, he could be a really good starting five. Number 19 is Will Riley, who I think most people look at as just like a shooter and a sniper on the wing, but I think he goes way beyond that. I do fear about the inconsistency a little bit and the streakiness that he has as a shooter, but he's like 6'8". He's massive. He's lengthy. He can score really on all three levels, especially on two inside and then all the way out in the perimeter. He can get on crazy heaters. Talk about the inconsistency and the streakiness, but when he is on, he can light it up, hit 5, 6 threes in a row in a game, which I think NBA team will see that right away when he is a rookie early on. When you throw him out of the rotation and he in the second unit, he gives you 15 points all of a sudden in 15 minutes. You're like, oh my God. I also think he's an underrated on-ball threat. He had a lot of guard duties this year for Illinois, and you're able to see him in the pick and roll a lot and play make a little bit. I don't think he's this long-term like superstar option because he has that crazy on-ball ability, but I think it makes him even more likable with the upside to be a secondary playmaker if he ends up being a starting 2 or 3. 20, I have Nolan Traore. Now, Nolan is a guy who was like top 3 or 5 coming into the year. For me especially, I loved everything he had. I see a lot of Ricky Rubio in his game, which I think is a lot of people my age in their mid-20s and 30s will kind of really appreciate because he's a ridiculously good playmaker. Now, he had a up and down rocky year, to say the least, playing his first real pro year in France. I think if he would be playing in college and struggled that much, he probably would. Let me put it this way. If he was playing in college instead of pro ball, he would have been better than he was. He wouldn't have had to shoot as many threes. It would have been more refined, and I think he would have been a little more efficient, and he would have been going. His stock would have gotten the benefit of the doubt, like a guy like Yegor Demon has, whose shot really hasn't come along coming over from the international game, but because he played pro ball and the numbers weren't so good, and he's been adjusting all year, and he did get better throughout the year, people really aren't giving him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I'm not at 20, but I still hold stock in him as a potential lottery guy, and I think he still has that upside to be a long-term one guard. Number 21, back to the Big Ten we go, Danny Wolf. Now, Danny Wolf is interesting because he's an unbelievable playmaker. He can put the ball down. He can shoot it. He fits what you want him to be of like the Kelly Olynyk, the Isaiah Hartenstein type centers in the NBA. He's not an amazing defender. He's not an awful defender, but I wouldn't say he's a plus defender, and the turnovers were an issue. So I think a team that can put him into a refined role early on is what is going to kind of get the most out of him, and the decision making is going to be a huge thing. Maybe it was a Michigan system thing, but there were times where it was definitely mental lapses and decision makings from Danny that kind of led to a lot of those turnovers. He's a super unique 5. I talked about a guy like Derek Queen before. I think he fits a very similar mold to that. He isn't super old. I think he's only 21. Check my notes real fast. He's 21 on draft night, so there is some upside to play with there. I get the concerns against NBA level bigs and physicalities and athletes, so we'll see about that. Number 22, I have a late process riser, Cedric Coward, and maybe I'm not high enough on him because he was unbelievable for Wazoo the first few games of the year, and then he got hurt. So I think if he would have played the full year and been that amazing all season long, he might have had a Jalen Williams-like rise throughout the year, and especially late in the draft process to be a lottery pick, which he might be on draft night. I honestly wouldn't be surprised. He's super, super lengthy. The history of 3-and-D wings and versatile utility wings like him with his physical profile are great. Jalen Williams, I mentioned, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, a lot of those guys, Bilal Coulibaly, like these are a great list of guys to be a part of. Cedric has the ability to be awesome. That's why Duke recruited him and got him to commit, but we'll see what he is in the NBA. I'm going to pull up the rest of my full board because I can't talk on every single player for every single moment. Obviously, Asa Newell, Collin Murray-Boyles is a guy that is polarizing. I'm not fully out on. I just know that he's undersized 5. He can defend really well and he can create and pass a little bit, but I think he's going to be not a primary engine because he can't be on ball and he can't shoot like that. So I think he's going to be more of a connector and secondary guy, and I don't see the shot really coming along. And I think he could struggle versus some NBA bigs if he has to play small ball 5. So I think that could be a concern, but could he have a Draymond-like career for sure? I think Cam Jones is super, super underrated. Like, he has had no draft love at all. I think he plays very similar to CJ McCollum. He's 6'3", 6'4". He can play make. He can shoot the ball over. He can get to his spots. He's a 3-level scorer. He's a guy that's super, super underrated and could be a steal. Jace Richardson, another polarizing prospect because of his height. People love that he might have more juice than what he showed at Michigan State. I say that maybe he was in that refined role because he was so efficient, and that's what he's so good at. But some people think he could be a 1 guard and play out of primary out of the pick and roll. But I think Izzo is smart and knew how to get the most out of Jason. That's kind of what they gave. Liam McNeely, a guy who can light it on fire. I don't think he has a super high ceiling, and the shooting wasn't elite, so that makes me question the floor a little bit in the NBA. Adu Thero, great NBA athlete that I think makes a lot of sense. I have no why he didn't go back to Arkansas. I'm fully with that. Should be a first rounder. Joan Behringer, Kobe Sanders, I think is one of the most underrated prospects. A 6'9", legit point guard from Nevada. Ryan Kalkbrenner and Yannick Konen, and even Ryan Nembhard. But the first 2 guys are bigs that I think are super underappreciated. Ryan Nembhard is super underrated. Amari Williams I have at 37, another big that I think is super underrated because he is 7 feet tall. He can defend almost not 5 positions, but he's a super versatile defender. He can defend NBA 5s. He's a great playmaker and played in Kentucky, which is an NBA pace offense this year. Hanson Yang at 39, I think is super interesting. He's crafty. You question the comp level he played at in China this year, but he's crafty enough to take a swing. I think a team like the Nets makes a lot of sense for him. Kobe Brea, Elijah Martin, Mark Sears, experienced guards, all in different roles. Mark Sears, a little bit of the on-ball guy. Everyone likes to comp him to Brunson. Elijah Martin, more of the glue guy, Lou Dort, do all the dirty work, and Kobe Brea is a sniper. I think all 3 of those guys have value. Sion James, Chaz Lanier, Curtis Jones, another guy I think should get drafted. He might not, but I think he could be a combo guard off the bench in the NBA, honestly, right away. We saw that at Iowa State, especially at his peak during Big 12 play. I think he's underrated. And then even further down, Dink Pate is a guy that I liked a lot before the year and in the G League. Now, he hasn't really taken those strides shooting-wise and on the ball that I wanted to see, but I think he's still worth a draft pick. He's been playing against NBA players and athletes for a couple of years now at Mexico City and G League Ignite. There's a lot of college guys that have. Could be G League guys. I think they're worth a draft pick. Grant Nelson is a guy. Hunter Salas is a guy who could have been a borderline first-rounder last year. I still think he's worth a decent draft pick this year. Micah Peavy is good. Eric Dixon, John Tanji, a lot of older college guys that are going to get drafted this year because so many dudes went back to college because of the NIL money that they were getting back in school. That's going to wrap up the big board video. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see how the draft goes, and this is going to be a good one to always look back on like we do with all the draft boards. And if you're not subscribed, definitely hit that subscribe button. And I hope you all enjoy the draft and your teams come out with whoever you want. So thanks again for watching. Peace.